Welcome again.
يكون عن الجيمنج أو الموبايل جيمنج. هو شخص ضيف معنا راح يحكي أكثر.
How he transferred the mobile gaming as a tool for brands. Let's welcome the CEO of Jordan Task and the Nour Khrais. Good evening, everybody. Let's speak. We'll see how to transfer them into mobile gaming. Not an example of our work. I'm not here to market our work, but since 6 ago, I'm working in this field and to create content on mobile. 12 years is our focus on mobile gaming, and we established the first company in 2003, which is called Maysalward, in producing mobile games. We launched a mobile games, a car game, tricks, and it reached the smartphones, and it became an international game, including Muhammad Ali Clay, and lately Rope Magic and Rope 2, and we did in collaboration with Zeptolab. I like the previous speakers' chat and logos and brands and localization, which is one of the things that we're working on. We are focusing on the global ID, but we act locally when we produce the game. And in general, on a daily basis, McDonald's had a global vision, but he was working on a local basis. Sometimes we see a falafel sandwich in Egypt or something vegetarian in India. This is a local idea. So why we were a little bit afraid to use advertising on mobile when the owner is controlling the switch on or switch off. So advertiser was afraid because he didn't know the impact on the conversion and what's happening on the brand. So but the user is controlling. Second, we didn't have the engagement between the mobile ads and the consumer. So the impact was disappeared quickly. So the solution was mobile games. If we see mobile games currently, we will see the most important growing factor that we see in the region. 10% global mobile application traffic are in the MENA region. And when we speak about the mobile gaming, when we started work since 2013, we see that there are lots of important entertainment. The growth was always positive, and if we would like to analyze that, we will see and how devices are changing into smarter phones, and the age group also. Now everybody and all ages groups are using the mobile games. If we see today, speaking about the Middle East and the international numbers, we match the international numbers in mobile games growth. When we focus on a brand, we are not speaking about revenues and the impact of revenues by games. But I will show you a slide. But the impact of traffic, the impact of growth, engagement, as we saw in Snapchat in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, it's coming second after games. 60% are coming from Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Kuwait. 60% of the total downloads are for games. And the social network apps also coming in the second level, like Facebook, Snapchat, and afterwards. But games worldwide are dominant in the mobile app platform. If we see the revenues in the MENA region are receiving 300 billion, which is a growing number. And it's If you see the statistics, the reach 4.5 billion from mobile games. In the Middle East, 300 million US in Middle East are more than the US by 27 to 30%. It's not that the user doesn't want to pay, but the engagement is high, but they don't pay because they cannot, because the credit card penetration is very low. But the only one who could purchase from the app stores is by credit card. Now, there are some alternative payment methods, but we're still in the early stages. The revenue, if I'm a brand, it's very important for me the engagement more than the revenue. The overall in 2015, we will see that 22 billion US dollars from gaming directly. And for the first time, 2015, the mobile gaming are dominating the console and all consoles that were prominent. And as you know, when you purchase a console game, it's higher than a mobile game. Those who are playing with mobile games will find it as $16 maximum, while you cannot buy a console game with this price. So the revenue was higher in 2015, which is dominant. And from that moment, the impact was from the advertisers. Games. If we compare the data, console and mobile, last week, a report from Saudi Arabia, Gulf countries, and Egypt, we can see mobile gamers almost they are similar for age groups and penetration and gender, but we can see that females are a little bit closer to male users in mobile games. The target is closer, which will help me as a brand to target the gender and to approach female and male when percentages. And why females are playing more mobile games more than the console? The console was not in the psychology of the girl, but it's more relevant to girls. It's a multitask, and a girl psychologically has a multitask brain. When they conducted survey phones, and they said that we are launching a multitask device, and also on girls. For boys, they were astonished, but for female, because their brains are created to work on a multitask purpose, they found that it's normal. So it made the usage higher. Every time the technology is growing, you can see that colors. A man cannot see colors clearly. And when you have the retinal high definition devices, girls used it better, which was better for girls. And even for the online purchases for mobile are higher among girls, not worldwide, but even in our region. The purchase is higher because she is convinced more with the mobile device. If we see the challenges and how they were solved in mobile games are engaging. Everybody is playing mobile games. Any of you didn't play mobile games before? The translator here didn't play ever the mobile game. How many people use Snapchat? How many people didn't use Instagram or Twitter? But nobody didn't play a mobile game. So 99% or 99.9% of people played mobile games. It's really engaging, and it's a challenge for people. You are really connected to this app, and it's rewarding at the same time. I would like to mention an example here. There were two companies who wanted to engage game players. If today I have a game that I launched years ago in the US, the players could redeem with a cup of coffee from Starbucks or fixing their cars. So this is a rewarding system that is created naturally in a game, which is to be translated. An example in the following slides, how the world was playing worldwide. The first game was a physical game in 1964 for Mustang, which is a pinball ball, and people started to realize the impact of a game on consumers. And this year they were celebrating the old game they created. And in 1964 they started the engagement with the game. And we can see that there are so many. McDonald's created an interface with a collection of games convenient for their consumers, and they related it with the rewarding system. And we can see how a brand like McDonald's could understand what's happening from the generations that we had as our Happy Meal. It's a part of the rewarding system and the App Store of McDonald's. The biggest global partnership was Kit Kat, Nestle, as they wanted to see how to interact more globally, and they gave their brand to Android, and they launched the Kit Kat version of Android, and it was one of the most important dissemination. Concerning the rewards, for example, here, Zain, the operator in the region, as a global operator, had its own brand, and the user could use a product and gave an offer to their users for free, which is in product placement on the level of the whole group, including Touch in Lebanon, Zain Group, and so forth. There was an interaction between the company and the users. And it's really important for me to know the interaction that is happening in this game, and how the Arab player is spending 43% of his time playing games. It's a huge number, and a long and mobile games. Games were not only a brand but an industry, like M&M's. When they created their presence on the gaming, they created a complete set of games in order to interact with their brand. This is what we have seen during the last years, and how active they were in the gaming side. The leaderboard, the engagement classification, worldwide classification. We had some of the traditional modes, especially for the FIFA games. We have seen the traditional banners. They are still there, and even on mobile phones. Do you know that Obama was the first person in the world who used games? He sponsored 16 games in his first campaign in order to reach youth. And he introduced himself through games. This is how he had an engagement with youth. 16 games from the top games in the US. Even he established a department in the White House for youth. And they hired the 16 games and built campaigns through games. And he interacted, and there was an engagement with youth through games. And from that time, there was a new type of engagement that they used. If I have one of the games, and we prepare the game with the daily active users, I don't care about downloads because downloads is really free. But if you have a daily active user, the moment you push it, he saw the message. Accordingly, if I have a game having a daily 100,000, means that I can reach 1,000 users on the same time. I know the type of mobile, how much he's playing. If I work with the telco, I can know what is the product that I will send, what is the type of advertisement, where and how. From that moment, the future is taking us to more engagement. When I told you about a post-platform game, it doesn't mean an iOS or Android. But if we are building a cross-platform game, it means after the screen. As a brand, I need to interact from the game, not from the screen. If I have a product like a car, I need people to interact. But if I have a cross-platform game, it shouldn't be on screens, but how to engage users in order to come to my brand. And you interact through the localization. Today, it's really something, and the GPS is a part. And the cell of the operators is a part of the engagement with the gamers. It started simply. If we go to the mall, we know that we are in Jumeirah and we push a message related to the shop. Imagine that you're going to create something more engaging with the users, and accordingly you will base the service. I really like the reality VR. It started a long time ago. Maybe 10 years ago we had a VR, but technology developed and is more available. Nobody thought that I can have a VR tool. This is a cardboard reader. You can have it. Now I can use a VR game. This is what we're seeing, and the virtual reality has an advantage. The human would like to interact more with the physical product, not to see the game, but to touch it, to feel it, which is a virtual reality. And it came with the support from Samsung and the support from Facebook with the virtual reality support. And the engagement is increasing currently because you can also communicate with the brand. There is something else that started years ago, like Wacom companies, and they started with the technology that is augmented reality. Everybody is speaking about it. We can see that it's increasing against the technology. The devices, augmented reality is depending on the ability of the equipment, the camera, and currently we see lots of products are having interaction through augmented reality. Is when you want to buy a specific product and you want to know how it's used, you can just have the brand and you will find it. Now you can play with the product. Now there is more engagement to the augmented reality related to the products that you can engage with. We can see good examples, especially during the last period. We can see new games launch to be used. They use a product to be a part of the in-product placement. If I would like to have product apps in the game, I can interact with the augmented reality, and I basically can transform it into an engagement into the game.
بدي احكي لكم بالاخير انه
Finally, I want to tell you that on those 12 years that I worked on game content development, I used to collect a lot of data from the users in the Arab world, and we try to build the artificial intelligence because for all or many of those games. The behavior of gamers in the Arab world is unique, different to other regions and parts of the world. Maybe the Europeans are a bit closer to us because the GSM, which was the system that we used, is the first that is used to engage content with the mobiles. So the number of mobile users was high in the Arab world. It's not only because of the attractiveness of these games or Snapchat. No, it's because of the technology that was introduced, the GSM technology that was introduced early to this region of the world, to the Arab world, which is the GSM technology. My aim was to give you good examples to see how games which constitute 60% of all apps can be a tool to a very strong to reach and reinforce the power of brands. And I'm here. I'm thankful for your attention, and I'm here available to answer any of